the lack of protections for children in South Africa. And we'll talk to Dr. Karen Muller, who is the head of the Child Witness Institute. Dr. Muller, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. This is what your everyday looks like, involved with children, children's rights, from whether children are dying through apparent or alleged poisoning by eating snacks unsupervised at a local spaza shop, to studying and going to school in unsanitary, dangerous conditions where infrastructure is collapsing, to being preyed upon in their schools by the educators that they are looking to trust them and to protect them, to children who can't play in their own backyard for fear of being taken by potentially a neighbor or somebody who's walking by, resulting in their death and torture, as we've just reported now in Soweto. And I guess the nation looks to experts like yourself who not only write the laws in our country to protect especially children, who deal with the plight of children when they're caught in acts of criminality. We look to you for guidance. As you look across the landscape of South Africa and look at the very many ways that children are vulnerable, what do you think?
I think, one of the big issues is that people keep saying, you have legislation to protect children. Why aren't children protected? Legislation is a response. We only create crimes because of what people do to prevent those crimes. So looking to legislation to solve the problem it's never going to happen. I mean, if you can remember the case recently where the mom was selling her child on Facebook for 5,000 Rand. I mean, I got a call from the prosecutor after that to say, we don't have a crime for people selling their children. So, now we have to make a crime because of a new act. Online has shown the same. So our legislation, which is wonderful, and having worked in many countries, we probably have some of the best legislation in the world. But it's a response. It's not a causal issue. And looking at the causal issue, there are two main things that have come out of the 30 more years that I've been working in child protection. And the first is family. We do not have a concept of family or of parenting for whatever reasons in the past, and also more social reasons recently. But we don't have that sense of family, and therefore we don't have a sense of parenting. We don't know how to parent our children. We don't know how we're supposed to take care of them. We don't know that it's not a good idea for them to be playing outside in the street until 7 o'clock at night. Not that we're bad people or bad parents, but we were brought up that way, and we have no idea how to take care of our kids. So for me, parenting or lack thereof, is one of the crucial things that we are facing in South Africa. Secondly is our sense of how we perceive our children. Our children are extensions of us. We have them, we tell them what to do, they've got to grow up and take care of us. There isn't that sense of, this is a body that I need to nurture for the future. It isn't there. If it irritates me, I smack it. If I want to go to a party, I leave it behind. It's very much not seen as a human being with rights. We do not perceive our children as having rights, and this is even regarded very much culturally by all cultures in South Africa as ridiculous that children should have rights. And it's that mentality. Until we can change that mentality, we will continue to hurt kids and not care about what their infrastructures are, or we say we love them, and of course we do love them. I'm not saying parents don't love their kids, but they don't know how to take care of them or how to nurture them in the way that they are required to do.
I know that you said, Karen, that we're not bad parents, and I think what you're sharing is also an unpopular view in society, because nobody wants to point fingers at a young mother or a single parent, typically women in South Africa who are raising children alone. We've heard so many debates. Young mothers deserve an opportunity to go out, to take a break, to go to a party and not be judged if they have a drink. And all of, so it becomes quite a complicated, very judgment ridden scenario that we deal with when we're trying to reach this question of why are we in a society where children seem to be very, very vulnerable. So how do we unpick this then? If we're not bad parents, even though it sounds like you're saying we are bad parents because we don't fully respect or recognize the child's autonomy, their rights to be protected and taken care of properly, then how do we solve for something? How do we solve for this?
Okay, I think we are bad parents. What I'm saying is I don't think it means that we don't love our children. We just don't know how to take care of them properly. And, you know, it's the example you gave is a very good one. You know, yes, I am entitled to go out and have a party, but not if my child is left in danger. Having had that child, the responsibility of having a child, we don't have that kind of education, that what having a child entails and the responsibility aligned to it. So I can go to a party, but I can't go to a party every night, and I can't disappear every night, and I can't dump my child with a grandmother because I'm going off somewhere to explore a new horizon. Those sense of responsibilities are not there, and we don't have parenting programs. It's the most difficult job you could ever have. And yet there is nothing in place to help an 18-year-old who has a baby, to how to love that baby, how to take care of it, how to protect.
We've lost Karen there, and we'll try and get her back, but really sobering things that she's talking about, and especially if you consider that for a number of things in our lives and in our society, there are regulations for, if you want to drive a car, you've got to go and get, you've got to write an exam, you've got to get a driver's license, you've got to be authorized to do that. And that's just for the driving of a car. But for the taking care of a human life, to understand how to nurture, look after it, to grow it, to find the support that you need, to think very hard before you even embark on that journey of parenthood. And of course, this again applies in a very normal environment where you can make that choice, and not in abnormal environments where you might have been attacked or a child is a product of something really terrible or a crime that's happened. You know, we don't have those preparation mechanisms. And Karen's just talking to us about the need for those, and basically solving all the way to the basic cause that it is families and parenting in society that's heightening the vulnerability of children in society. We still don't have Karen back, but we'll try and get her back. I think it's a really, really important discussion for us to have as a nation, and perhaps one of our megaphones at some point, either this week or the next week, as we continue to hear and highlight these incidents relating to children, is whether we do need to have, you know, a preparation program, an official preparation program in the country, or whether people have to earn the right to have a child. Again, these are not easy subjects that we talk about because they go back to the fundamental reproductive freedoms and the freedoms that we have as people, which we've had since time immemorial, to be able to raise children and have children without permission. Karen, I don't know if you were able to hear some of that commentary and that narrative, but how do we move into a phase where we do either make it a legal prerequisite for people to parent and have children? And I was saying that this also applies in a normal circumstance where you're making that choice, doesn't apply in an abnormal circumstance where a child might be a product of a criminal act.
Yes, sorry, I missed the beginning half of what you said, but we need to, sure, there are rights, but we must remember that rights also come with responsibilities. And we do have certain rights, but we can have children and we have the right to have children, but there is the responsibility to take care of them. And so, you know, this freedom to do as we please kind of thing is a misunderstanding of the concept of rights. But I think we need to, in somehow, go back to finding a way to focus all our attention on building families. In all the cases that I have dealt with, as I said, over the last 30 years, and obviously I work with kids who are vulnerable, in every single one of these cases, the children come from families that are dysfunctional. If you work with sex offenders, for instance, they target children who are vulnerable. They will never target a child who is confident in a happy family, because the child will immediately run to a parent. So I target a child who is available, who has no one taking care of them, who's playing around all afternoon on their own. I target specific children. So we need to be able to find a way and focus our attention on addressing the building up of families that has been destroyed in South Africa for many reasons historically, and today as a result of a lot of alcohol. Alcohol abuse is huge. Over 80% of our cases involve some member of a family involved in alcohol. And this makes it really difficult to parent, especially if you've been parented in that way. So, you know, my dream has always been that if I'm pregnant, and I go to the hospital, I have to enter into a contract that, you know, if I'm going to be given treatment at the hospital, I have to go through a parenting program. Because, as I said, parents love their children. It's not that they're horrible people. They just don't have a clue. You know, your mom who goes out, or your dad and mom who go out to party, don't realize the implications of what that means if they do it all the time, how children are abandoned, or what children feel, or what children need. So for me, that's the issue. It's about they don't have the information on how to be good parents.
Dr. Muller, I spoke to us about a lot of the issues relating to the high rates of vulnerability of our country's children going back to the family. What is a final thought you'd like to leave us with?
Well, you know, just listening in the background to what's been taking place, that it supports exactly what I've been trying to say in terms of, you know, we don't see children as human beings. If I have a sexual urge, I can use a child because it's really not much of a human being. And even though we talk about children's rights and we have the UN try and make us apply it, in our everyday thinking and treatment of our children, we actually don't see them as individuals who have rights.
Karen, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us.